Okay. Um, West Liberty to me has always been a special place because my dad and mom had friends that lived here in West Liberty. So I would come here with them as a child, and I always thought West Liberty was a cool town. When we come in town, you see the trees that arched over the street, and I always call that a canopy of color because at fall time it was just beautiful. So that's kind of what I remembered was coming and visiting friends and just thought it was a great little town. I didn't realize though that I was going to end up living here, but that was a bonus.
Sure. Sure.
So that's been over 33 years since I've lived just outside of West Liberty. Wasn't too good in history in school, but Dad was a good history teacher. He taught me a lot about the West Liberty area because he did a lot of reading and he explored a lot when he was a kid. He was actually in the Piat Chapel before it burned down, and he kind of gave me an idea about what he remembered seeing at that time. And then there was a cabin up behind one of the castles, and I think it was Makochi, but I don't remember for sure, that a pioneer couple lived in with a child or two apparently, because he said when he got there, there was 3 crosses because they had been killed by the Indians. There was 3 crosses there where those folks had been buried. So I always thought that was kind of an interesting story. They always loved the Piat Castles and the Ohio Caverns because that was a lot of history there in itself.
Absolutely.
And in 2001, I started working at the Piat Castles. So right there, that was more history that I could learn and told me a lot about the area. And Dad also told a story about where it was that the gauntlet was run, and I can't think of his name right now.
You're fine.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, he ran the gauntlet quite a few times, and he was captured by the Indians. It was just down below the where the Makochi Castle is, in that field there beside the river. So that's where that was supposedly happened. Simon Kitten, there you go.
Yeah.
And then
very interesting.
The old Indian village that was set up on the hill. And the reason West Liberty was called Smiling Valley, because there was a creek that ran through, there's like 2 sections of the Makochi Creek. The one ran through Don Piat's house, right in his front yard, and then went around that corner of that hill. So when they looked down on it, it looked like it was smiling at them. So that's why they called it Smiling Valley.
Interesting.
So that was always a fun story there too. But the love of the area has really just grown because there's all kinds of things that you can find out. And I found out that we have an Ordway Hill. I don't know how many people know that because I had never heard of that before.
I haven't.
It was just the hill that the Dr. Ordway lived on when he lived in town in the early 1800s. It's not anything that too many people would know today, but I thought that was kind of interesting myself.
Sure.
The town itself has come a long way. And considering how it burned down, most of the downtown area, a lot of people lived in those areas. You know, they lived right on the main drag, and their houses and their homes, they usually lived in the building that they had their business in, and like almost 3 blocks were all burned down. And West Liberty could have died at that time as well as everybody losing their houses, but they didn't. They all rallied, which is shows you a lot about the West Liberty spirit.
Yes.
Of the people that live there then and now, and how that they all just got together and they rebuilt. So a lot of what you see downtown today was rebuilt in 1880 after the fire.
Yeah.
So that's always been interesting. The different businesses that have been in towns over the years, some that I can remember and some that was before my time, but it's still interesting how it all leads to where we are at today.
Sure.
And if people hadn't thought this was such a pretty little town,
Yeah.
you know, who knows what would have happened. You know, might not have been a town at all.
Right.
I was reading today that in 1890, one of the Piat gentlemen found that there was they found an Indian, they assumed it was an Indian, buried in an Indian mound here in West Liberty. A lot of people might not even realize that there was an Indian mound here. But they're all over Ohio, but we just happen to have one in West Liberty. And they found this skeleton when they were looking around, and they said it was probably about a little over 8 feet tall, so that was quite taller than what was used to at that time. And they buried him right back where they found him after they did some measurements and stuff, but it's right where the cemetery is at today. So that was kind of interesting. Just those little things that you find out that's like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.